director of techjdi. So today we are going to be talk about the talent landscape in Vietnam itself. Maybe a bit of background about myself. So techjdi, we are a venture studio. We support the innovation and startup scene in Singapore for the past 6 years already, helping entrepreneurs, tech startups, and corporate innovators to build and scale across Southeast Asia. So we started in 2016 as a spin-off from TNA Ventures, which I'm a partner in. So basically, it's really coming from our own pain. So as I was investing into tech companies itself, all my tech portfolio companies, they come back to me the same problem, that they cannot hire tech people in Singapore for various different reasons. You have the grabbing people, you have the DBS, the banks, right, getting people into the scene, right? So all the salaries is going haywire, going up in the air. So for me, to let my portfolio companies grow, they must have a good, strong and the tech team, which is why I went to Vietnam. I went to the region actually to figure out which are the best unit economics, and I find that Vietnam is one of the better markets to be in to set up a long-term tech team. So that was how I started off to form techjdi as a spin-off. So our vision and our mission is basically to collaborate with great founders to fulfill their dreams. Yeah, and that's what I've been doing so far. So some of our venture support services include the tech pieces, the general tech pieces, whereby we can do software development, we provide freelance resources. And most of the Series A, Series B tech startups and corporate companies, right, they're all looking for the human resource piece whereby, to grow their tech team. So we provide the whole suite of services to help them, enable them to build their own tech hubs in Vietnam. Coming all the way from recruitment, team strategy, finding space for them, taking about the HR, finance, processing, legal for them, right? So we also help companies to launch into the Vietnam market itself, because we see that Singapore is a small market, so we really have to expand out into the region for our startups, into Indonesia, into Vietnam, Thailand, etc. So we help in the launch piece for the Vietnam side. Based on our background and experience, we also have been touching on the ventures piece, whereby we are venture building together with innovative founders who have a good idea and who have a strong leg into the game. So we come in to provide the startup angle to help them to scale from zero to something. I won't say hero, but scale to a good level, right? So these are the companies that we're working with. We cut across mostly innovative tech companies, from finance, from healthcare and prop tech as education as well. So we've been always in the pulse with the startup ecosystem. So we know which are the actively growing ecosystem out there, the trends and as well. And we come in to support all of that. So yes, let me dive down into the IT development landscape in Vietnam. So the IT recruitment market itself. So to understand the Vietnamese market itself, you would know that the demographics, they're mostly young people between the age of 20 to 30 years old. More than half of them are at the age, because it's a pretty young population that we have over here. Developers wise, if you are going, most of the Singapore companies are going to Ho Chi Minh City, where there's 5.1% of the tech population there. So some of them also go to Hanoi. Hanoi, it's a bit like China's side. You have the Beijing and Shanghai, right? So Beijing is like the political center, and which is what Hanoi is. On the northern side, that's where most of the HQ of the banks and telcos are, if you're doing that business. And yeah, so basically that's the angle over there. Most of the companies that we're going there, they're really there for just the tech talent. And so for that piece itself, they are in the area of the Ho Chi Minh City to get tech talents, which is where we are. We are in Ho Chi Minh City, we're in Da Nang. We've been looking at Hanoi, but it's a bit far for us, and COVID has hit us. So it's hard for us to really do an expansion during this period of time. But in the long run, in the next 2-3 years, we would definitely have to go in Hanoi and other areas, right? So population-wise, it's mostly male-driven tech developers, right? So most of the females who are in the tech scene, they are mostly QA, project management, and BA side. So not that much want to be in the front-end development, back-end development, and stuff, right? So if you're looking for gender equality, sorry, this is somehow very imbalanced. If you hit this kind of ratio, 92 to 8%, that is the kind of ratio that you would be looking at. You can't get 50-50. Sorry about that. Okay, so in terms of the talent skill sets itself, it generally cuts across most of the web stack, right? JavaScript, they have the React and the Node are the most popular. The Java side is Spring, Struts, Hibernate. They are all more enterprise-y based, because there's a lot of enterprise student outsourcing over there as well. The .NET side is really the .NET framework, the core sets. Xamarin, that's interesting, but not that much over there. PHP is Laravel, Symfony. The SQL servers are the basic one. MongoDB, I think most of them understand MongoDB as well. CSS, less stylers are there. Python, yes, Python is also a popular skill set. 35% of them are in Django. Some of them are in Falcon as well. And app development wise, people mostly are in Java, mobile development, Java and Swift, Objective-C. These are the main thing. So just an overall view. So just in case, you have to look at your own tech stack to figure out, whether there's a good match over there. Of course, later on you could ask me directly about your tech stack and see whether there's something matching for you in Vietnam itself. Don't ask me about data scientists because data scientists are in need everywhere. There is the pool of data scientists in Vietnam is not that much, but it's increasing because it's being traded up in the market. Same thing for blockchain developers. Everybody needs a blockchain developers. You will have seen recently there's a report, right? That for every 20 JDs, there's only one developers out there, blockchain developer out there. So we are trying to go in the same piece to train more blockchain developers simply because there isn't enough in the market itself. So, but that still takes time to train them up. So in terms of experience itself, most of them are very junior, between 2 to 5 years old, in terms of experience, 2 to 5 years old. But you do have an increasing pool of people, 6, 7, 8, 9 up there. So we are seeing a landscape whereby as the years go past, the 2 to 3 years become the 4 to 5, 4 to 5 becomes 6 to 7. So we are seeing an early part of the trend of the growth of the startup ecosystem, the tech ecosystem in Vietnam itself. Right. So yeah, there will be a lot more. The 0 to 1 years is going up more in the years. So and that's because generally in Vietnam, if you are a tech developer, it's a great job. It's a great job. It's a great job. So for people to be in to be doing. So the market is training more such people to come out. To come out. So we are seeing more developers being out in the ecosystem as we go by. So in terms of developer ranking, hang on. In terms of the developer ranking itself, you will see that this is basically from HackerRank challenges, whereby so the Vietnam actually is ranking number 23 among all the challenges. So no surprises on who's number 1. Like China is there. But a lot of time we are hearing that it's not easy to get a China developer, and the cost of that China developers are actually even higher than Singapore for some of the regions, right? So of course the developers in Singapore are actually very good, just that the costs are high. So below that we have the Vietnam, and we also put the India, Indonesia, and Malaysia as part of the ranking for you to see. So if you are in Vietnam looking to hire tech hire sources, there are a few job boards that you need to pay attention to. One is Vietnam Works. Vietnam Works is like a job central in Singapore side. You'll find most of the jobs are over there, generic. If you're looking for IT, it is IT Viet. So that's where most of the population of the tech developers are looking for their jobs. As well as upcoming is Top Dev. These 3 job portals. You can also do outreach to your members via Facebook and LinkedIn. They are going on that pool. And of course, there's also headhunting services and other programs they can do. And refer a friend, intern programs fair, intern job fairs in Vietnam itself. So techjdi, we come in these pieces. We have a recruitment team that helps you to recruit from the market. We go through all these sources to find the right talent for you. We also help you to do the talent management, and we also help you to do placing the people under techjdi itself. Wait, can I share my video now? Okay. Yep. So yeah, we also have employer record services whereby it's like you don't have entity in Vietnam, but you can park these headcounts under techjdi Vietnam. So they can report to you 100% of the work, but we become your HR, finance, and taking care of that, taking care of all the administration in Vietnam. Some of the tech considerations that you have when you're in Vietnam is like, it's that the developers, what do they consider when they are looking at a job offer? Previously, it was always about salary. Salary must be there, right? So and it has been climbing up. So I would say that is still true among the people between the 0 to 3 years, between 0 to 3 years of experience, because that is when they are fresh out in the market. They want to catch up their salary to a level where it's viable for them. Because at the early stages, right, the salary start off low, maybe 800 USD, 900 USD. But over the next 3 years, they need to raise it to about 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. So a 10% increment doesn't cut it. So most of the time, they would rather look at jumping from one company to another at the earlier stages. But of course, if you want to keep them, if you want to keep them, that you need to be okay with a higher salary jump at the early stages. So as they grow older and the salary become more, right? So it becomes less of a consideration. And so typically between above 3 years of experience, 6 years of experience, 9 years experience, right? That's when they are looking for more challenges. They're more looking for the technical challenge, interesting problem to solve. They're interested to develop their skill set in the technical stack, in the right technical stack that they are interested in. They're looking for promotional opportunities to be part of a bigger team and learn from the bigger team, right? And so those are the considerations that you need to pay attention to if you are in the market to grow a big team, right? Because you need to understand all their incentive, their motivation to join your company, right? So yeah, so it is moving past just the salary part already for the Vietnam market. So how to retain people? Retain people is really a very similar thing. They're looking for growth opportunities. They're looking for good colleagues to work with. The salary potential is definitely there, but I'll say it's future salary potential. They want to learn. So this comes in with the tech stack, with the knowledge that allows them to get a better job. Fintech, they love fintech. That's something that they all are going to go into. Blockchain development is something everybody is thinking, can we go inside there? It's earning good money. Some are jumping into it. Some are still on the sideline saying, yeah, we prefer more traditional React.js, Node.js, or Flutter development kind of thing, right? So growth opportunity is something that is very important. And because of that, whenever we go to the market to hire people, we need to tell them about the growth opportunity. If you're going to the market and tell them, oh, we need one developer for the next 3 years, just to do some back-end development. So that's not going to be very incentivizing for them. So most of the time when we work with our clients, we tell them, yeah, you need to show them the growth opportunity. Maybe it's a start is 1%, but it may be going to 3 to 10 over the next 1 year period of itself, so they can have a leadership role, etc. So that's very important to pay attention, because that otherwise you will have a retention problem come to the end of the year. So I go to the next page about the building and managing a tech team in Vietnam. So there are various ways of building a team, and those factors are cutting across 4 different things, right? One is the operational model. Is it going to be in-house? Are you going to hire them all internally, or do you have the capability to work with outsource? If you don't have the capability, can you work with outsource partners, or do you have the capability to manage freelancers, or are you thinking of setting up your own offshore team through a service partner like techjdi? So those are considerations. And remote team, whether it's a 1 to 3 man small team, 3 to 5 man, 5 to 10 man, 10 to 50 man, there's all different structure over there, and all these different structures require different levels of management. So I also later go through about salaries itself. So salary budgeting is something that's very under focused, right? Simply because a lot of startups they come on without understanding the true cost of ownership of a team, because they're thinking the salary is the only thing, but it's not just the salary itself. There's also other things, salary plus CPF plus table cost plus laptop cost plus welfare benefits, etc. So we're going to walk through with all those things which comes with the cost of managing a team by yourself. And finally, I'll talk about some of the success factors about communication, about HR and culture to manage a team in Vietnam, right? So jumping right in, operational model itself. So I'm not sure how many of you are from startups or the corporate side, but most of the time, let's say if you are a very early stage company, right? So as a very early stage company itself, what kind of model do you go with? So if you are at the angel or seed stage itself, right, there's 3 ways of doing things. One is in-house, right? Basically, this is basically you hire the tech people. The tech people is your co-founder is a tech. You have a tech co-founder with you. They manage a team for you, right? So they know how to manage their own team itself. So in this case, it's the best option. But unfortunately, a lot of time I'm talking rubbish over here, because it is very hard to find a tech co-founder in Singapore. Most of them are actually taking good roles in other tech companies or Series A, Series B companies already, right? So in this case itself, then we got to consider, if you don't have a tech co-founder, what else can you do? The other way at the early stage is really to outsource. No choice, because you don't have any tech co-founder to really look over the deliverables and such, right, and do the planning. So it makes sense for you to outsource it to an agency out there, a small agency who can do the MVP development for you for the first 3 to 6 months, right? It's actually higher cost comparatively to only a team in a short run, but it's actually faster ramp up time. The good cost is that it's faster ramp up. When you go to an MVP team, they have all the people over there, the UI, UX, the front end, back end. They can get things up and running for you instead of you having to build out your own team yourself, right? So most of the companies will choose these because at the early stage, they also cannot commit to hiring people, right? Because you don't know how long it's going to grow. So go to an agency for that is good. Some of them actually they have some tech people inside there. They may not be tech co-founders, but they find that they can actually manage the freelancers. So they go to the freelancer model. They have an experienced product manager guy to manage this. So they hire freelancers in Vietnam to work with them as for the deliverables of the front end, back end, and UI UX. Yeah, it is cost effective to get freelancers because most of the time they are actually doing multiple projects or moonlighting. So their cost is actually lower than in-house. But the thing is that they are doing multiple projects, so it's not reliable. It's unscalable for long-term engagement. Yeah, it's cheaper, but it's unreliable in the long run. Will they join you in the long run? They may not. They can have other opportunities out there with them. Right. So so these are the three models to consider. Later on, when your company is growing already, and you're part of your Series A, Series B, that's when you need to care about reliability and scalability of the team. So that's time whereby for the long-term effectiveness and cost effectiveness and the long-term ownership of the team itself, you go into the either back to the in-house mode, or you do an offshore service provider in Vietnam mode, which is what we have been doing for a lot of companies. Right. So what are the cons of it? There is actually a higher ramp-up time because you need to interview the people, hire the people in to build the team over there. And you need to sink some costs to build the team, like take care of office and HR, etc. But this is what the option that most companies will do because, yeah, in the long run, they want to have the ownership of the team. When you go to your investors, Series A, Series B, you cannot tell them, oh, I outsource everything. That's not the way to go because they will find out, okay, if you don't own the team, what do you really own? So yeah, that is most of Series A, Series B are companies in this area to grow their own tech teams. Remote team structure at the early stages itself, if you're going 1 to 3% to 10 to 50%, there are different ways of structuring this, and it's all around the topic of communication. Because when you have an overseas team, the biggest part that you need to take care of is communication. Because can the Vietnamese speak English? Can the Vietnamese speak English? They can, but you don't expect very good English from them. If they go for a test, it may be a 65 to 75%. So there will be always communication issues on both sides. So a lot of the time, for our clients, they want to go and find the best people who can speak English as a team leads, who has no issue in conversation with team leads. So that actually sets up the communication structure. The communication structure is that the first few people are all senior people who can speak English, who have worked with overseas team before, so that we can iron out all the communication issues. Then after that, you build out the back-end team with people who can maybe not speak that much English, right? And they may come at a lower cost to the company itself. So that's the kind of mentality when it comes to structuring. So if you're doing a 1 to 3% team, you really want to communicate with all of them one by one. So there is no people that you need to look at first. You always look at the first engineer as a full stack engineer as a team lead, or backend engineer as a team lead. And then you also get more senior people who can communicate with the Singapore team directly as the first initial team. But if you're going that for a 3 to 5% team, it's very similar. But the role of the tech lead is more important now. So it's a senior full stack or backend engineer for the 65 experience that can grow to be a PM or a strong team lead. Then you back it up with the senior front end and backend and mobile developers. Right. As you go to a bigger team itself, that's when you get a TPM. You may be managing 2 different teams. So the backend engineers are there as well to being project managed by the TPM that you have. So if you're going to 10 to 50 packs team, which is you really need a VP of engineering to manage the different modular teams, right? For development itself. So this VP of engineering should be 8+ years of experience. All right. If you got any issue and questions about your team structure, how should it be? You can feel free to message us or email us after this, so we can go into deeper details. So budgeting for the people, just I mentioned, the salary is not just a salary, right? So a lot of time we need to also be worried about the terms of a net salary versus a gross salary. That's always the confusion, because when you talk to a candidate in Vietnam, you ask a salary, so they will say, oh, I want $1,000. What does that mean? I want $1,000. It may mean I want $1,000 in my pocket to take home. But to you, you may think, oh, it's $1,000 is a gross salary. I will minus off your CPF, I'll minus your income tax before I give you the money. So 1,000 in gross salary is maybe about 700 in net. So this confusion must always be clarified at the start. So always mention, yeah, are you looking? You want 1,000? Is it a net salary or is it a gross salary? So that has to be clarified, because from net to all the way to a total cost of ownership is very different things. Let me walk through with you. If the person, we always start with, from the company side, we always start off with the gross salary, right? So we want, let's say about 1,002 is a gross salary. 1,002 is a gross salary. So from that gross salary, you must minus off the employee social contribution, it's a CPF and the employee side, right? Then you must also minus off the personal income tax. Yes, in Vietnam, they deduct the personal income tax from the salary before you give to them. So the company is responsible to take the personal income tax and contribute to the government from the income tax, not like Singapore, where by the end of the year is for the employee to declare himself. Yeah, so it's only after all these deductions, then you come up with the money to give to the employer's salary, right? So from 1,000, the gross salary will be 1,002 already. Right? But that's just not the total cost. There is also the employer side social contribution. CPF also like for employee and employer side, right? So Singapore is 17%, or 70%, so it actually marks up more, right? 23.5%. Not forgetting the laptop cost, the office space cost, the admin overhead. In Singapore, you may have your finance, your admin, the office manager to watch after these people. So if you do an outsourcing model, then you still need to pay about admin fees, which is around the same between 5 to 15% of the admin fees. So other things like the welfare benefits, because retention is important, right? So company trips, festival celebration, all the treats need to be over there across for, and also your bonuses. So if you take charge of all these, right, the 1,000 net take home may actually be 1,008 in terms of a take home pay, your total cost, right? So all these are not to be underestimated when you are growing a team overseas. So hiring costs, we've done some math for interest of time. I will just skip past this very fast. Just know that Singapore hiring, let's say this is the base case of Singapore hiring itself. If you're going for a work pass, yeah, it may be cheaper because you don't really pay the CPF, right? And some of the salary may be lower. In terms of Vietnam hiring, it's around 47% of that. The salary is actually about half or lesser of the Singapore side. After all the CPF and stuff, it's 47%. So hiring cost in Vietnam versus Singapore, higher cost is lower in Singapore, lower than Singapore. But developer salaries have gone up during the past few years because it's a global demand. Everywhere in the world is a global demand. The tech talents are getting better experience and English thanks to global exposure. So you would find that they are still not 100% there. That like you cannot talk like as you're talking to Singaporean. So there is still to be slowing down in pace and communication via email to set things the records very strict, right? Always have a conversation with them first, and then basically follow up with emails. And always know that tech talents have choices when it comes to job opportunities. There's too much demand out there. There's too little supply over there. Right. Developer cost. It's over here. I'll put it over here. The most expensive one are the management level, the CTO, the CIO, followed by the tech architect and PM over there. The scientist is 2,000 plus. Is it high? I don't think it's high compared to Singapore side, but to Vietnam it's actually not pretty good really. For this thing, I'll just leave it over here for a while, a few seconds for you to absorb these numbers. Full stack developers are 1,003 to, I would say these are actually lower already. We are seeing more 1,008. Oh, that's because there's a 20% to 35% premium you are paying for English speaking. I assume all of you want English speaking to a certain degree, right? Yeah, so the costs are over there. Have a talk with us. We can give you more salary guidelines based on what you require. Communication is important. Establish remote communications. Expect the communication to be compromised. Time zone, not much difference, 1 hour. But everybody's online now. COVID-19 is hitting everybody, right? So we should be getting more used to remote communication like we are doing now over Zoom, right? Always have engagement with them because with the remote, it's the same. If you are remote, engagement always drop lower. So you need to find ways and different means to build the team spirit among everybody. And sharing of information is important because if you don't share information, they will start to think, what's going on in Singapore side? Is Singapore side running out of money? Are they still trusting out the Vietnam team? Are they still going on with this, or are they going elsewhere? All that kind of thing is up for guessing if you don't share information. And of course, having role clarity, make sure your ops is relevant to everybody so that everybody is clear about roles and responsibilities and who they can talk to. Right, human resourcing side, Vietnam follows a strong team leader presence whereby they'll follow the leader. So even if it's a remote team, you need a strong local leader to lead, motivate, and act as the bridge between them and the Singapore team. And always do not treat the remote team as an outsider. They are not an outsourcing partner. You have to work with them because then they will tell you what's wrong and what's right with the development, timeline, etc. If you safe drive them and just give them things to do, then basically it's not so good because the quality will come and hit back at you if you're doing the product itself. Yeah. Time is important. Success factors. I think I'm running out of time already, so let me just go through these fast. Work-wise, right? There's a very strong community spirit in Vietnam. So they love to have lunch together. They love to do board games and play cards together. So that's a kind of community spirit versus Singapore side. The Singapore side mainly, I'll come to work and after office hours, I just go back to my own family. Vietnam is not so like that. They like to have more bonding together with each other. So and trust does take time to build, right? So Singapore side needs to trust the Vietnam side. Vietnam side needs to trust the Singapore side through all the actions and working together. So working style, basically there are different working styles. Don't directly criticize them because face is very important. It's a Confucius kind of culture. So face is very important. Avoid direct criticism. Work with them to solve the problem, not point the problem, but solve the problem, right? So that's also about the open and close structure, giving and taking with each other. Have a lot of bonding with them. Team activities like soccer, karaoke. Soccer, they are going crazy about that. Yeah, gaming is important for them. Barbecue dinners together outside is cheap and good if you can travel to Vietnam. I miss traveling to Vietnam. So some of the national pride that they are always about is sports. Soccer is their number one favorite, right? And they are pretty good players as well. They love their food, they love the beer. I also love their beer, their coffee and history and everything else. So I think when you go to Vietnam, you will actually enjoy all this cultural stuff that's available in Vietnam. Okay, so that really cuts to the end of the tech pieces. I would want to jump inside over here to talk about market expansion as well, because we find that this is increasingly important for the tech companies that they are facing, that we are hearing from. Right, so most of the tech companies, they come to us with the need for tech talents. But after a while, they say, hey, Frank, you guys are all in Vietnam itself. And I think Vietnam is an interesting market other than Indonesia. So how can we go into the market itself? Can you help us with that piece? So that is an interesting piece that you may want to consider in the future as well. So the Vietnam has been growing very fast. FDI is there. The GDP is growing, despite COVID, right? It's growing very fast, despite 0% COVID. And there's a strong support from the government to push the National Digital Transformation Plan. So they have been investing in this area. They love Singaporean. If you go over there, they just love you because we are one of the biggest FDIs in there. Investors are going over there right now. So we've been over the past 5 years, we see more and more Singapore investors going over there. So some of them are over there. If you are outreaching to these investors, right, they may also ask you, do you have a Vietnam strategy? Generally, they'll ask you for a strategy outside of Singapore itself. So Vietnam can be one of the new things that's coming up because they are also interested in the market. Right. So techjdi, if you ask us, how can we help you for market expansion? We have a 3-phase market expansion plan that we have done for a few clients already, and so that's all on feedback that they need this thing, right? So we start off with if we can help you start off with the first phase, which is a BD side. We can understand what your business is about. We can from there on figure out who are your existing profile that you have in Singapore itself, and try to match that in Vietnam and see whether it works or not. We have a full BD team to help you to do the lead generation, find the clients and qualify these clients first. We set up the lead funnel management for you, and then find these clients and send them your deck, of course translated into Vietnamese, and see whether there's a response. Do they like it? Are they interested to hear more? If they are, then we link it back to you, so you can go and talk to them more. Okay, sell your services. If it buys, great. If they don't buy, why? And figure out these things. So this is this first phase is a testing approach to figure out, is this a really good matching for you in the market? If it is, then we can go on to the next phase. That hey, we have actually interested customers that we need to buy already. So how can we move this forward? And that's to do the market setup. By the way, all these are supported by the MRA grants from EDG side. We work closely with Enterprise Singapore to help bring companies into Vietnam as well. Right, so it's 80% sponsored. So the phase 2 can be the Vietnam market setup. We set up your legal entity, we set up your business operations, and incorporate your company and do all your nitty-gritty kind of administration to set up your team in Vietnam. And of course, then after that, once your team is set up already, we can help you to deepen your market presence over there with all the basically the website, native advertising in the Vietnam market, content marketing, and more. Right, so these are the 3-phase approach that we see is useful for companies. MRA grant, we talk about that. So there's 100K out there, 20K on market promotion, 50K on BD, and 30K on market setup that we can all tap on to access the Vietnam market. If you're interested in this, please email us, and then we can talk to you more in fine details.